Hey, this is Terry Jeanette with the Tapping Flamingo, and today's video is going to be a tutorial. And the way it came about was that a viewer asked how I made a certain clasp, and so I'm going to show how to make different clasps. I'm going to start at the basics. I will also let you know that I am just getting into making my own clasp, so bear with me here. And also I've had somebody commented about me getting out of the view of the camera, and I do realize that. I really hope you bear with me. I am a low budget here. I'm just use my laptop, and I don't want to go into debt for doing the videos that I don't get paid for to do. This is all volunteer work. So I do enjoy showing you how to make some of my creations, and I will try to stay in range of the camera, so bear with me. All right, what we're going to learn to do today is a shepherd's hook clasp. Now, I like to use these on necklaces mostly, and you can also add a bead to them, like I did this one, and actually today I'm going to put a bead on it. But you can use just like an O-ring to put on the other side to hook it in, and you can just buy those at any hobby store or online. You can also make them. I have not done that yet, but I'm sure you can YouTube it and find somebody that can show you how to make those. I just find it easier just to buy them, and maybe eventually I will branch out. Anyway, but today let's get to those shepherd's hook. You're going to need, excuse me, round nose pliers. You're going to need flat nose pliers. You're going to need a pair of wire cutters. I like to use the memory wire cutters because the wire that I want to use is 18 gauge, and I just don't want to risk ruining another pair of my nice jewelry wires. I used a pair of them to cut memory wire, and that didn't work out too well. And then I found out about the memory wire cutters, and I use them on almost everything pertaining to wire. All right. And of course, you're going to need a bead. I am using this turquoise blue square bead, and on one side of it, it has kind of a silver thing to it. It's just a very cheap bead. This particular wire, when you're practicing, you may want to just go to your hardware store or big box store and just pick up the cheap wire, because you don't want a nice jewelry grade wire to practice on, because practice, you don't start out perfect, but practice does make perfect. Anyway, let's get on with the show here. Let me move all my stuff out of the way. I'm going to lower my screen. Wish me luck on staying in range of the screen. Okay, so you got your wire, and you're going to use first your round nose pliers. Now, I like to leave the wire on the roll as long as possible because I feel that you waste less that way. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a small loop, and that's going to be this loop right here. And so you're going to go at the tip of your round nose pliers, and you're just going to do this. Now, I don't like to make them necessarily here, but there's good. Now, one other thing, if you may need to have a file, but I'll get to that in a minute. That turned out pretty good. If it didn't, if it's not right butt up to the wire there, you may want to use your flat nose pliers to squeeze it in there, but that looked okay. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to make this part, okay? So you take your round nose pliers like so, and you're going to turn like so, okay? And you have, now like I said, I can't really see what I'm doing because of the angle I am, but I don't think that was straight, but you can straighten them out with your flat nose pliers, and you have your little hook, okay? So once you're to that point, this is when you're going to have to make a decision. Do you want a bead on it? Whoops. Do you want a bead on it or not? I'm going to actually put a bead on it, like I said before. So what I need to do is kind of have a little guesstimate on how much wire I need for the bead, and then how much wire I need for the hoop. Now, granted, you can't add wire, so make sure you do. You may want to cut a little more than what you think until you get exactly, you've done this long enough to know how much you need. Okay, set that over, and I'm going to string my bead onto there, which, because it was kind of bent, it's going to be hard. This bead is not going to fit. Let's see. Okay, anyway, that's when you would put the bead on. But what did Terry do wrong here? She forgot to see if the bead fit, and that was a bad mistake, but that's okay. So anyway, we're not going to put a bead on this one. So I cut off a little too much than what I needed. So I'm going to cut off more. Set that aside. Okay, so I'm to this point. The only other thing I need to do is make this back loop here. And this is what is going to attach to your jewelry piece. And I do like it a little bigger, so I'm going to put it up there or down toward the bottom. And you just make your loop like so. Now I want to show you something. It doesn't fit all the way in there, which means you may lose your piece of jewelry. So you need to make sure that there is no space in there. And so that's when you can squash it in if you need to. If you need to file it, which this one doesn't really need to be filed, you would open it like you do an O-ring. You take your file, and then when you close it back, you can kind of push it in there. And sometimes I do that even if I don't need to file. And I do believe, when I look at it closely, yes, this will be fine. And that is how you make a shepherd's hook. That is a small shepherd's hook. This would be for like a smaller piece of jewelry. If you wanted to have a bigger neck here, let's do another one. I'll make it with a bigger neck. So you make your first loop. Then you go to make your loop like that. You cut it. See how quickly these go? Kind of form it a little bit. And there you go. I actually like this one better than the other one. And you can even make them with a longer and longer neck. Here's one I made. This was like one of my very first ones, so it's not really all that good. But it will give you an idea that you can even make little curly cues and a little bit longer. There's all different kinds of things you can do with these. But anyway, that's how you do a shepherd's hook. I hope you go and practice. And my next video will be another type of hook. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.